Governor Inslee is heading toward the location, and when he gets down there, we hope to see him as he evaluates the scene and perhaps get word from him later on this evening. And Alan, you were noting that there's a Home Depot fairly close by, and we wonder when a bridge like this collapses, a structure that large with all of that metal twisting and moaning and groaning, it must make just a horrible sound.
Yeah, and we've heard a couple people reference that this evening, Dennis, but the Home Depot is just to the northeast of this bridge, actually in Burlington. And I talked to an employee there who said she hadn't seen it, but they certainly heard it when it went down. Talked to another man who said he'd been out to take a look at the scene, but that was pretty much all they could tell me. But yeah, they heard it. And talked to another hotel worker on the south side, on the Mount Vernon side. They said they'd heard it as well. And that they had a brief power outage right then. Don't know if that's connected, but it'd be too much to believe it's a coincidence at this point.
In all the rescue efforts that occurred, this is the first time that we have witnessed what look to be divers who have their air gear on and look like they are ready to, or would be ready to, go into the water to assist in any rescue or evaluate a situation underneath the water. Again, we don't know how many cars and vehicles were on the bridge at the time of its collapse, so we're left to wonder, other than some of the wreckage that we were able to see, we see the wreckage of at least 3 vehicles in the picture to your right. But how many vehicles were on the bridge at the time, we don't know. How many vehicles might have been on the way toward that section of bridge and unable to stop, too.
So many unknowns at this point, and we're seeing so many resources deployed. Hundreds of people on the riverbank, ladders being put down, the hovercraft and the boats there, air support as well. But at this point, an hour and a half after this thing collapsed, you really just have to wonder how much coordinated effort can be focused towards actually finding people alive there. We know that extraordinary things happen when there are air pockets, when people can be secured or an air source can be gotten to them, but we just don't know what they're looking at 90 minutes in right now.
Well, in any event such as this or any natural disaster, we first off talk about rescue, then we talk about recovery. We hope certainly that we're still in the rescue phase, or that the Sheriff's Department is just doing due diligence. Maybe everyone has been rescued at this point, and they're making sure that everyone is out of the water. We just can't say at this point. And we have had no official word from the Sheriff's Department or the State Patrol either as to how many people might be involved in actually having gone into the water. This bridge is very busy. 71,000 trips a day. That is a lot of trips. When you were in Vancouver, you came back from Vancouver, what was it, on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning?
Saturday morning, so there wasn't much traffic. I mean, it was really pretty smooth flowing. I was just talking to Gary Chittum, and he said this is one of the I-5 bridges you just barely notice. Yeah. There's no big arch. It's about a one-story, metal structure, as you see, and boom, it's over. You're done. You're across the Skagit River, and you're on your way. So it really is something that you just really don't notice. But I'll tell you who is really going to notice is the trucking industry is going to notice. And you remember 4 or 5 years ago when we had the floods down south, and I-5, the major connector for the entire West Coast, was severed, and what kind of agony it put the people who move the cargo that we all rely on, and what kind of hoops they had to jump through. It's going to be a tough, tough go for them. And
that was only for a number of days. Not a number of weeks or perhaps a number of months as we're looking for it at this particular time. Skagit County Sheriff's Department is confirming 3 people have been rescued.
Great stuff.
That's the first official number we've had from any official that 3 people have been rescued from the river. Sheriff's Department still has boats in the river right now looking at the bridge. You wonder if are they looking for any more people to rescue, or are they assessing the bridge and if it's hanging by a thread, if it's being supported by some of the sediment and the bottom floor of the river. They may be doing some of that right now, but that'll take engineers too from the state DOT to actually determine how stable that portion of bridge is right now.
And you have to wonder also how stable it looks like 3 other very similar sections of bridge are. With expansion joints and with those support columns. I mean, it looks like it was sort of 4 very similar sections, so you have to be wondering exactly what's going on with those. I talked to a gentleman, Dennis, who told me that he formerly worked for WashDOT, and that inspection that they had most recently was September.
September of 2012.
September of 2012, that it was a full day. He was working traffic control on that bridge. He wasn't actually part of the inspection crew, but they spent a whole day there, and they had the machinery that would allow you to get down underneath and put someone underneath and take a look at that bridge. But it was just, 6 months ago, 8 months ago.